not for a professional gig. This particular camera has been surprised me, and there will be a bunch of videos on this channel over the next few weeks all about this camera. But we're gonna start here with an unboxing and a walk around of all the things that we're gonna be trying out because I really just love this kit. I've got a bunch of gear here, so we're gonna walk through each piece and what I was thinking about when I made these selections to kit this whole little setup together. I'll put this little thing off to the side and we'll talk about that in a minute. This whole thing centers around the Canon M6 Mark II, which is a 32 megapixel APS-C size sensor. This is part of the Canon M line, which there's not a whole lot of cameras in the M lineup. And there's also not a whole lot of Canon lenses for this lineup. So often I feel like this camera really gets passed over in a lot of cases because unless you're using an adapter to put a big EF lens on here, there's not a whole lot for it when it comes to things that are really lightweight. But recently, Sigma came out with a bunch of lenses for the M mount, and they're all f1.4 primes. So they're extremely versatile. They're great in low light, amazing for portraits, and it really brings out how good this APS-C size sensor is in this camera. At 32 megapixels, you can make those images pretty big and really blow those up if printing is your thing. But even just for cropping purposes, I was amazed at what I was getting out of some of these photos when I was editing them, especially when comparing these photos alongside of how the R5 performed, which was just really surprising. And when I asked B&H to send all this stuff out, I was thinking about that hobby photography kit and just keeping it real compact and really lightweight, but I really just didn't want to give up any quality. And I was just hoping that that would be the case with this camera. And I'm so excited to say that it absolutely is the case after at least 30 days of use in a bunch of different situations. So let's open up the camera itself first. This particular kit is the one that comes with the electronic viewfinder and the 15 to 45 image stabilized lens. On its own, this is a perfectly capable setup for any type of photographer. So if this is the camera that you're thinking about for your first camera, you're gonna be happy with it. There are some subtle limitations along the way, but even with those subtle limitations compared to an R5, which just the body is 4 times the price of what's in this box, the limitations are not that big of a deal to work within. In another video, I'm gonna show you some of my top custom settings for this camera so that you know how to get the most out of it. All right, let's open it up. Right, we got some packaging. We've got the kit lens. This is gonna be that 15 to 45 image stabilized, and this is f3.5 to 6.3. It's got really quiet autofocus and it's super lightweight. One of the cool things about this lens is it's got this really compact design. It's where you flip this little switch right here and then you turn it and it opens up. And then while the camera is in use, this is what that lens looks like. And then when you're done, you flip that switch again, fold it in, and then it locks for storage and transportation. So it's really easy to just pop that open, take your lens cap off, hit the on button, and you will be good to go. But even if you just sort of left it open as you were walking around, this still is a tiny little lens to be walking around hanging off the side of you off your camera strap. So really not a big deal. It's just so small. So that's the kit lens. All right, we've got our battery. We have the electronic viewfinder. There's also a strap in here. There's your paperwork and that kind of stuff. And then the camera body itself. So what's really cool about the M6 Mark II is it actually comes in a couple of colors, and I really liked this silver. It just kind of had that like vintagey feel. And when I think about cameras like this, I think about actually my grandfather's camera. Let me show that to you. So when I think about this camera, I actually think about my grandfather's camera, and it's really just that silver color, and you know, like, look at this. It's almost the same size. It's like, this is like from the 50s. It's film, maybe it's the 60s. No, it's the 50s. Yeah, this is from the 50s. Yeah, I can't wait to show this more. So just that silver, like that vintagey vibe is just like really, really, really cool. But yeah, my grandfather got this camera when he was in the military, and yeah, this was his first one. So anyway, so these are the really cool photo specs about this camera. These are the really cool video specs about this camera. These are the things that I like about this camera. And you can check out the price of this camera at the links down below in the description. So we've got the silver color, and on top you've got a hot shoe mount. I'll give you a little hot shoe cover if you're not gonna use it. There's also a pop-up flash right here, which I didn't even use, and you shouldn't even use either. On the side, we've got a mic jack and a remote jack. So I left a link down below in the description for this fun little remote that I use all the time in like photo booth shoots. And I often use it with portrait shoots, and just hand the remote over to the client, put the camera on a tripod in front of them, and just like have them take a whole bunch of selfies of themselves lit with the backdrop, just to sort of shake off some of the rust and like make people comfortable and start having fun. It's a really great way to just sort of put the control in the hands of the person who's sitting in your chair or sitting in front of you to photograph. So it's only like 20 bucks. I'll leave the link down below in the description for that, but you've got a remote jack on here, which I was really happy about. One thing that this doesn't have is a headphone jack, but if you watch a few videos about how to monitor your audio just by looking at the levels, I think you'll be in good shape, and I didn't have any problem with this. You could also just put it on auto for the mic levels, and just sort of figure it out in post later when it comes to all the excess noise that might be picked up by just leaving it on auto instead of manually doing it yourself. But either way, you'll be okay. The internal mic on this, I'm not gonna recommend it, obviously, nor would I on any camera, but if that's the best that you have to work with, then please just save 60 bucks and find yourself a small mic that's gonna work better than the one that's inside of this camera, please, for everyone. So it's got a flip up screen, and it flips out to the side. So you're able to shoot low, you're able to shoot high, you're also able to selfie and see yourself in that screen. It's really easy to hold. So if you were gonna do like a one-handed selfie situation, you can just put your thumb right up here. It's really easy to hold the camera like that. That's like super, super easy. Now, I thought of this camera in two ways. One for a photographer, but also somebody who maybe likes to vlog or wanted to start one and wanted to start with something that was gonna look really, really good right out of the gate. So that's actually where this little cage comes into play. There's a couple different brands that make cages for this camera. This particular one is from UURig. I've used some other brands for these products, and UURig is, just kind of on par with the rest of them. Basically, you screw your camera into this cage. It gives you a whole bunch of different mounting brackets, a relocation of your cold shoe, which we're gonna talk about in a second. And there's even an RE locating mount. What's nice about this for photographers is it makes the grip just a little bit beefier. So this is a really small camera to hang on to, which can be nice, but some people just like to have something a little bit more to hold on to, or just used to having maybe a little bit more weight in their hand. I didn't think that this added too much more weight to it to where it made it uncomfortable, but it definitely adds a little bit. If you're only gonna be doing photography with this thing and you don't really need to record audio, and you also perhaps have smaller hands or don't care about the small form factor, then don't even bother with the cage, but the cage is only like 40 bucks. So it's an easy little accessory to get, which will just kind of make things a little bit more versatile for your camera going on. I'm gonna put this on real quick. It's nice because it includes this little screw tab down here that magnetically holds itself into the bottom, so you never have to go fishing for a tool. There is a hex screw in here as well as a flathead screwdriver. So if you are used to using a hex tool, you can just do that, but it's cool, just like goes right here and slides in. Oh yeah, I'm sorry that you have to look at this blood blister on my finger for this whole video, but that's what happens when you do things. Now with this UURig one, even though there's a couple of places to relocate your shoe mount, it wasn't quite in the right place for me. So one other thing that I added to this party is just a cold shoe adapter, which is gonna screw on to this one screw right here. Because I want to use this top one, I just needed a increaser to go from 420 to 5/8, is that what it is? Anyway, so we're gonna screw that in. Screw this into here first, and I like this little tool that Small Rig makes. It's got all these different sizes that you might need on it. All right, so that's a real tight fit. And we are going to mount our shoe like this. And this way we'll be able to mount a microphone or a little Rode wireless receiver, let's say, so that you can really get that vlog kit started. But we're gonna talk more about that in another video. Oh, there's the button for the automatic flash. It's on the side. It pops right open. All right, don't use that. All right, so we've got our M6 Mark II, our cage, and our relocated cold shoe mount over here on this side. Over on this side, you still have access to your HDMI output and your USB-C connection. This camera can also be used as a webcam, so you can really step up your Zoom meetings with this, or FaceTime or whatever. All you gotta do is hook it with USB-C directly into your USB-C computer. It also has a micro, or is it mini or micro? It's got the tiniest HDMI port, which is gonna give you 1080p up to 60 frame output. And then on the bottom here is your battery door, and even with the cage, you still have easy access to it. Pops right open. This is also where your SD card is gonna be, so we will get our SD card in there. Clicks right in, and then the battery itself also clicks right in. Door closes up, and I think we're ready for a lens. Take off that body cover. And yeah, let's first try out this kit lens. Goes right on, and it's a nice little package. Really like that. Even with the cage, it's still nice and lightweight, especially compared to an EOS R or an R5. Yeah, this feels really nice, and it feels especially nice with the extra grip that you have here. I don't have huge hands or anything, but we won't get into that debate. You've got easy access to all the buttons. It really, this cage does not get in your way, and that isn't true of all the cages that are out there. So, you know, there's a link down below for this. Another cool thing about this cage is that it has an Arca Swiss plate that's built into the bottom of it. So you won't have to add an extra plate on here, which makes just being able to place your camera down flat and film something, that becomes really cool. All right. Last piece of this puzzle is the EVF, the electronic view finder. So this is gonna be the little eyelet that you can look through to take photos. This camera doesn't have one built in. You just use the back of the camera just like you would on your phone. And even shooting like that works really, really well. But sometimes you just want that eyelet. With the addition of the eyelet, this is like that whole kit plus the cage, obviously. I think it looks really good. I think it's really functional. I like how the eyelet comes off the body a little bit so that you're not like rubbing your face up against the glass. I think that helps quite a bit with keeping it clean and keeping it clear, even though you can see I've been using this one. If your camera's dirty, if your lenses are dirty, there's another video down in the description that how to clean your lenses. So this camera is great as is, but if you really, really, really want to make it shine, adding some fancier glass to the party might be in your best interest. These three lenses you can buy individually, or you can buy them in a kit. So if you don't need a really super wide lens or like a really deep telephoto lens, then you can just get one or the other, or mix and match, or just kind of save up and get them over time. All of these are f1.4, so you can get that really nice blurry background, even blurrier than anything that you're seeing here, because I'm shooting higher than that even now. This is at 2.8, that's at f4, I think that's at f2, but a lens that'll shoot at f1.4 will give you really super shallow depth of field if you want to open it all the way up, but also allow you to shoot at night and in the dark, handheld without a tripod. A lot of the event photography that I do, I'm using a Sigma 20mm f1.4 and shooting in the 1.4 to 1.6 range, and that's my go-to lens. They don't make that for the M mount, but Sigma does make these three lenses, and this is really, I think, all that you would need. So it's really hard to pick a favorite out of these three lenses, so let me just walk you through what I think each one will be good for. Let's start with the 16mm, and because of the 1.6 crop on the Canon M6 Mark II, that's gonna be 25.6mm, which is still wide enough to get like wide street photography shots, chase your kids around, or even talk to the camera and vlog with. So if you are someone that likes to talk to your camera or take a handheld selfie with your bigger camera, you'll definitely want to get the 16mm. But if you don't need to talk to the camera, or that's not the kind of shooting that you do, and you don't need to be that close to your subject, then the 30mm lens might be a great place for you to start. This will give you an equivalent focal length of 48mm, which is really close to that 50mm classic look of different portrait photography, and just so many amazing photos were taken in a 50mm focal length. It's what every photographer has in their bag, and this is a great place to start. So even if you did get the full kit where you have the range of this little zoom lens plus the 50mm, that would be a great upgrade. Or you could just buy the body of this camera and one of these lenses, and while it's just a prime lens and you don't have that zoom range right on the lens, you can always zoom with your feet. So while this 30mm lens is super versatile, the 56mm lens will give you a little bit more reach at an equivalent focal length of 89.6mm. So you're getting past that 85mm super blurry background portrait look that you would get out of a more expensive 85mm lens. But for the size of this lens and the price at f1.4 compared to its full frame equivalent lenses, this is the best thing on the market for an M mount camera. I mean, this lens is just amazing, and it's actually the smallest of all of these lenses. So if you really love shooting portraits, or you want a little bit more reach to complement your wide lens, this 56mm is not one to look past. All three of these do come in a kit together. So I think the ideal way to get the most out of your Canon M camera, or if you're thinking about purchasing the Canon M6 Mark II, would be to really look seriously at these lenses, and there's a link down below in the description for you to check them out. So here is the Sigma 56mm lens made for M mount cameras. This lens is 1.4. It's part of Sigma's contemporary line, and the enhancement that you get above and beyond the kit lens out of your M mount camera is just astounding. So let's open up this box. This lens doesn't come with its own little case or anything, but it comes like this. There's some paperwork and stuff in there. The lens comes with a hood, which can go on like this or fold back for storage. You've got a back cap and a front cap, and this is how big it would be if you used the hood. And if we compare that to the kit lens, it is a little bit bigger than the kit lens. This still isn't that big of a package to carry around with you, and you're at 90mm basically here. So I probably wouldn't be bringing the hood around with me anyway, but even if you take that out, it's even smaller. My 85mm Canon lens, I think, weighs more than this whole thing. So to get that kind of focal range on a small camera body, it's just, it's super exciting. So 56mm, great for portraits, great for super blurry B-roll if that's your thing. All around great lens, and it's nice and it's stubby and easy to carry around. So a nice one to have in the kit for sure. There'll be another video where we walk through some photos that were taken on this lens, just so you can see what those look like. Here's a couple, just some quick ones. Here is a Sigma 30mm f1.4 lens for Canon M mount cameras. We're gonna open the box right up. Paperwork, plastic, cardboard. And we've got the lens itself. You've got a front cap, a back cap, and the lens hood like the other lenses in this line. Very small lens, very lightweight, very fast to autofocus. And you've got that lens hood on there too. So if we put it on the camera body, again, very small little package that we have here. Even with the hood on, still very small and very lightweight. f1.4, it's basically a 50mm. I love this. So there'll be another video where we walk through more photos with this lens on the M6 Mark II, but here's just a couple of previews for now. Let's get this box open. It'll just take a second. So here we are. the Sigma 16mm f1.4 for Canon M mount cameras. If you're someone who talks to the camera or chases your kids around with a camera, this wide lens is going to be really nice to make sure that you don't miss any of the action. Now, it's not image stabilized or anything, so it's not going to like make you a super cinematic filmmaker or anything like that, but at f1.4, you still have the ability to get that nice, soft, blurry background that people love so much. That's especially true if you push all the way in and get really close to your subject. The lens has the ability to create more depth in that background and really blur things up and create really nice portraits even with a wide focal length. But this is a huge step up from the normal kit lens that'll come with an end mount camera. Now, in terms of weight, it's very, very, very lightweight, as are all of the Sigma lenses that are in this particular lineup. Of the 3 Sigma lenses that they have in this M kit, the 16mm actually is the heaviest one of all and the bulkiest one. But even this package with the 16mm setup with the Canon M6 Mark II in the cage is still not too heavy to carry around. And you could make it even lighter without the cage if you wanted. But I like the extra grip that the cage adds to it and the sort of counterbalance effects that it has from this heavier lens compared to the body. It's still not too heavy to vlog with, so if you're holding this up, you're in good shape. But even if you're just shooting, this little setup is fantastic. So f1.4, great in low light, really lightweight, tiny little package, really gonna bring the most out of your APS-C size sensor to be able to get all the way down to 1.4. The next thing in your vlogging kit is gonna have to be an enhancement to your audio. This is the Rode Video Micro. It comes with this furry windscreen if you purchase it in that kit, but it's a tiny little microphone. It doesn't need its own power. You don't have to charge it or anything like that. You just plug it in and it works. And the sound that comes out of it is actually pretty darn good, especially at like a $60 price point. So now that we've got our little setup, we'll probably need something to put it in and carry it all around. There's a ton of different camera bags out there and different slings, and do your research, like find the one that's best for you. I've always found that Peak Design bags give me everything that I'm looking for as a photographer. They've got a ton of different styles, and this video isn't sponsored or anything like that by Peak Design, but I think the Peak Design Sling is perfect for this little setup. I've got a 5-liter Peak Design Sling here, and they don't make this one anymore. It now comes in a 6-liter, which will give you a little bit more room, which actually might be best for this little setup. But all these things are actually gonna fit in this bag and be really easy to transport, and it's still super lightweight and comfortable to carry around. So let's open this thing up. Inside the bag, you've actually got a couple of dividers. So we're gonna take one of our lenses, pop it down in here on the side, and then we'll flip down this little origami divider, and that creates this little shelf for the other lens. And now we've got like a bigger main compartment for our whole camera and everything else. We've got a nice little storage pouch up here, which has got little battery containers. You can put SD cards up here, really anything. This is like an ND filter for your phone. So I'll leave a link for this too. In here, I will put my little electronic viewfinder, close that up, and then the whole rest of this fits nicely right in here. Zip the whole thing up. And then on the back here, there's actually this channel for extra storage of the strap. But I also found that it holds a switch pod really nicely. And there you go. Easy little vlogging setup. I've got a whole series of videos about the Canon M6 Mark II and some other lenses and accessories that go with it, so be sure to check out the rest of my channel so that you can see those videos. Thank you so much for coming along on this one. Thank you to B&H for sending out this loaner camera for me to check out and bring to you, and I'll see you in the next video.